Good afternoon, participants. My name is Yashwendra Singh, and I'm the Executive Editor of ETCIO. I thank you all for taking time off your busy schedules and participating in this very topical webinar on 3 steps to fixing your customer support strategy. In the customer service world, consumers have a bewildering variety of alternatives at their fingertips. If they aren't happy with your product or service, they will move on. Perhaps the only time you have their undivided attention is when they have a problem. It's in those support moments that your team's response can make or break their loyalty. So much so that according to Gartner, 89% of companies expect to compete based on customer experience. The bottom line, therefore, is that customer support is turning into a key competitive differentiator for companies everywhere. Through this webinar, therefore, we will help you get ready to address the service support requirements of your customers. The key points that will be covered in today's session would include how to understand your customer lifecycle, how to identify different customer service personalities and the ways they can shape your customer experience, how to determine what tools you should use to match your customers' behavior. So without any further ado, allow me to introduce you to our speaker for the session. We have with us Ms. Shinara Kanwar, Account Director, LogMe in India. Ms. Shinara is a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in the technology industry and has worked with organizations like Oracle and Akamai in a variety of senior roles such as sales, marketing, and product marketing across geographies. Currently, Shinara manages LogMe in India's most strategic business partnerships to solve customer engagement and support challenges for Fortune 1000 companies globally. Shinara is based out of LogMe Inc.'s Bangalore office. So over to you, Shinara.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and hello everyone. Thanks a lot for joining today's webinar. I'm Shinara. As I was, as there was a detailed introduction that already happened, I'm a part of the enterprise team at LogMe In, and today we are going to discuss about the current state of customer support and 3 ways in which you can optimize your customer support strategy and stay on top of the trends. Right? So as far as the agenda is concerned, there are 3 key things that I want to talk about, which is first considering your customers, then considering your teams internally, and finally considering your processes. So most of the webinar is going to revolve around this theme around, how do you evaluate your customer support strategy? And of course, we'll have some time for question and answers towards the end of the sessions, but you can also go ahead and type in your questions as we go on with this webinar. So, moving on, I think the first thing and most important is that sometimes you must be asking yourself, what is it that is really standing in the way of offering that best-in-the-class customer support? It's interesting because currently we are seeing that customer support industry is in a state of flux. There are a lot of things that are happening around us today. There is change in economic landscape, there is change in technology, and people themselves are changing, and a lot of it impacts the way in which we communicate with our customers. And it does not just affect customer support. It is actually changing how businesses are operating and reaching out to their customers. So when we say that there has been a change, we want to discuss what exactly has changed, right? And what does the new world look like today? So let's discuss these key buckets of change, and starting with industry transformations and customer expectations, right? The first bucket is that industries are continuously transforming, and along with that, customer expectations are continuously on a rise, and this in turn is impacting support. Now, apart from that, another key bucket is also around universal connectivity, which is growing exponentially. I think all of you must be aware that our customers today are connected across multiple devices and multiple channels. Billions of connected devices are bringing new challenges. It is interesting to see that this has impacted the way customers reach out to organizations. Right from customer support perspective, what is most important is that how do we plan for all these devices and the data that they are generating today? How do they leverage this data and provide better experiences, right? And also what has increased along with the devices and channels is that products and devices are becoming significantly complex today. And the user interfaces that are used are becoming simpler because they want to address this kind of complexity, right? And in this world of universal connectivity and significant complexity, there are unlimited options out there. The reason why this is a big deal is that as consumers, we have become very, very much in control of actual interactions and how we do businesses with organizations. If we are not providing that experience to customers that they want, they will actually go ahead and switch. And if you see, this brings me to a very important statistics that 82% of customers have actually stopped doing businesses with a brand following just one bad experience, right? And customer behavior is causing the shift in the way support is done today. If one bad experience can end a customer relationship, then that is something that we really need to put some thought in. Now, another statistic that's very interesting here is to note that 86% of customers are actually using over 5 channels for support, but the ability to reach a live representative is worsening. And as a result of that, what is really happening is that customers want interactions and customer support to be very, very simple and very easy to use. You cannot possibly create a 10-step process to integrate your applications together. It probably needs to be just a single click. Overall, let's just say that customers have grown to be impatient and very, very demanding. Which brings me to another interesting statistic, which says that today, when customers encounter a problem with a product or service, because they are getting as demanding and as impatient as they are, they first try to solve the problem themselves, right? What this means is that if I'm facing an issue with a particular product, I might actually turn to Google first. I might actually visit the company website. I might check social media to check if anyone has had this similar issue in the past. What this essentially means is that customer experience has started even before they have started talking to you. And this makes the world of customer support even more challenging and is tasked with more complex problems than ever before. And we can also safely say that while automation will drive better customer experience, it has also changed the nature of problems that are presented to customer service representatives in particular. Moving on, when we say that so much has evolved and so many things are changing, what does this mean for your support strategies, right? So like I mentioned, because of this new customer behavior, support teams are faced to rethink their support strategies and actually think out of the box. And for organizations to keep up with this new era of customers, there are 3 key areas to consider as you determine how to meet your customers' changing expectations. And I'm going to move on to the first one, which is considering your customers. What this essentially means is actually something very, very simple. This means that we need to understand the customer life cycle much better, right? Now, I think most of you must be aware that the interaction life cycle when it comes to a customer varies from product to product. But really, in a sense, it revolves around 7 basic steps. All the way from awareness around the fact that the product exists, knowledge around what the product entails, considering the product to buying it, actually going ahead and selecting it out of the options that might be available, and finally going ahead and purchasing it. And if it's a subscription model, it also includes continuing to be with that product and bragging about it to other people, which is in a sense your customer advocacy. Now, when we are thinking about your customer life cycle, what we actually need to move on to is where does customer support really impact when it comes to a customer lifecycle? And these are three main areas that we have highlighted where we believe that customer support can have a huge impact. And the first area that I would like to talk about is consideration. What this means that customers are trying to figure what product they need, what add-ons they need to buy, and in a sense, whether they want to go ahead and move forward with this product or not. Customer support is actually key when addressing prospects' questions here, which are generally around what are the product demos, what are the trial, and what are the technical questions. So consideration is an area which is something that can be completely impacted by customer support. The second area that's interesting is also retention, because if you are in a subscription model, you practically need to keep reselling on a regular basis while your product is providing all the value. And the last one is advocacy. And if you do this one well, you start having advocates for your products. And now you can support these advocates in actually almost selling your product to new prospects and really building advocates as opposed to just customers that are out there. So if I were to summarize it and kind of like explain in a nutshell, I would say that if you were to find, or if you could find a way to understand what makes your customers choose the product faster, if you can understand what can make you stay with them longer and advocate harder for you, that will make your customer support and customer experience significantly better in the long run. Now we've kind of done the first step, which is try to understand what the customer lifecycle looks like and how we can impact it. The second thing, which is extremely important again, is also thinking about your internal teams. And the reason why I say that is that from a team perspective, it is very important to understand not just who is on your team from a role perspective, but also understand different personalities in your team. Now you must be wondering, why does this matter? Well, that's because this is exactly what shapes your customer experience. Although the nature of customer service work has changed over the years, as we have just been discussing, many organizations have not really changed who they are hiring, how they are training their employees or handling performance management, etc. And as a result of that, a lot of employees are leaving, while the customer satisfaction ratings are actually declining. And this brings me to a very, very important concept, which is actually called brand biology. And this concept actually can drive your customer support experience, right? So if I were to explain this in a nutshell, while your vision and strategy are important, I think everyone knows that it's your people that actually bring your brand to life in the real world. And the physical things they do each and every day while interacting with your customers, this is what is the essence of customer service. And these people actually fall under a broad spectrum of personalities. And this concept of your people falling into a broad spectrum of different personalities and interacting with customers who also have several different personalities is called the concept of brand biology. And in a recent report that was produced by HBR, there are actually 7 different customer service personas and characteristics that managers should look for to provide superior customer support. And I'll give you an example to explain why it is important for you to have a healthy mix of personalities in your team, right? Now, from customer service perspective, you can be the smartest, like the most trained agent in the world. But if you're talking to a customer who is, for example, out of these personalities, maybe a controller who wants to be an authority of the interaction, they're not going to trust you, or trust what you're saying unless you're interacting with them in the right way. And if you don't interact with them in the right way, it won't create the kind of impact that it should create, right? And you will come across various kinds of customers on a day-to-day basis, and a healthy mix of personalities in your team kind of brings balance to the team and helps you interact with your end customer in a much better way, right? Moving on, and this is the third step, which is very important, is now finally considering your process. So at the end of the day, right, if you were to understand how our customers and team are interacting, what is important to do now is equip your team with the right tools and with the right tools to support your customers effectively. And you need to examine your customer endpoints and where in the customer journey you need to actually interact with them. Because I just explained to you that there is a customer life cycle, there is a customer journey, and there are different points where we can actually interact with those customers. And now what we are really talking about is how do we fill the gap between your customers and your team by identifying what are the right tools and processes, right? And on that note, we come to another interesting area, which is that if you've observed the trends in the last couple of years, there are a lot of areas that organizations are looking to expand and spend when it comes to technology in specific. And this could range right from your incident management tools to knowledge management to remote control to customer satisfaction surveying and even problem management technologies which are available for you. But really, at the end of the day, the spend is increasing for the IT departments to build out the right tool set to resolve these problems faster. And spending on technology, while it has increased in the 5 years, you also need to notice that there are a lot of new products that can help you solve very, very specific problems. So, when we talk about customer support, at the end of the day, customer support is extremely important for organizations, right? It is one of the most important interactions for any business. Most of the time, a customer interacts with your organization, it is through your customer support channel, whether it is reaching out to you through a self-help portal or picking up a phone to call or maybe even going to the online help page in an application. It is a critical piece which, if done correctly, it can make an angry customer happy, it drives loyalty, and it can be a very strong differentiator over competition. And a lot of organizations today lead with the message saying, we have the best in class support. As I mentioned earlier, the customer has several options out there when it comes to technology. You can differentiate yourself by providing a great customer experience. And we believe that one of those technologies that can help you today, especially in the areas of remote control, is LogMeRescue. Now, LogMeRescue, when it comes to is our remote support product, and we at LogMeIn believe that we can provide tool sets that allow you to build those great experiences that we spoke about, not just for your customers, but also for your support agents. Now, if I were to explain this to you and go back a little bit in history, right from the beginning, LogMeIn was built to provide a great experience for agents and customers, but we initially started by focusing on only computers and laptops. And then what we did was we went ahead and expanded to mobile devices, and then we also started supporting smartphones and tablets. And now, recently, what we have done is that with Rescue Lens, we provide you video support and give you the ability to support almost anything, whether they are connected or not connected objects. And, in a sense, we enable you to get into the space of support of things. And this tool set in particular can help your support organization to be more successful, and it is a true differentiator for a lot of different businesses, right? So that, in a sense, is what I wanted to cover at a high level. And the reason why I moved a little faster is because I want to give some time for question and answers on the webinar today.
Thank you, Shinara. Thank you for that wonderful, insightful, and comprehensive presentation. I'm sure it will add a lot of value to our participants and help them beef up their customer support strategy. We'll now open it up for questions. We'll request participants to please write down their questions and we'll ask them to Shinara. So yes, we have one question for you, Shinara. The participant wants to know, according to you, how do you build a customer support experience that drives loyalty?
Well, this is a great question. And I say that because I think I covered in one of my slides that according to a Gartner survey, around 89% organizations are expecting to compete on customer experience. And there are a couple of things which, if done right, actually builds long-term trust and loyalty. And one of the most important of them is actually to always be on. What that essentially means is that whenever customers need help, no matter the hour, they expect support to be available, right? And with the smartphone applications on the rise, they've raised the bar for all industries because customers can instantly order pretty much anything with a few swipes, and they have less and less tolerance for waiting on hold. So it's important to always be there for your customers whenever and wherever they need support available from. Another thing that's important in building loyalty, or rather driving it, is to deliver more first call resolutions, right? Now, very few customers are happy about their situation when they reach a support agent, right? Like I mentioned, about 83% of the people are already doing their research and trying to fix the problem themselves instead of actually reaching out to support because they're restless. And imagine if they're reaching out to you, they're in a situation where they need an instant fix. And another survey recently indicated there are about 6+ touch points for a complete resolution, which is frustrating for a customer. So I think the more consistently your support team can deliver first call resolutions, the more consistently you can measure them and manage them, the greater shot you will have at earning customers' loyalty. And one last thing that I would like to talk about is also holding a steady connection. Now, the reason why I say that is that you can have the greatest support team on planet Earth, but your organization's effort will be judged on the basis of quality of a single support interaction. And if this interaction or session is interrupted, if there are lags in this session, or if the call is grainy, it could leave a negative lasting impression. So let's just say that in the world of, so many different technologies that are available, it pays to invest in a high quality remote support solution that, reliably makes great first impressions. So these are the three things I would say to hold a steady connection and make sure that you're giving a good experience, to deliver better first call resolutions, and being there for your customers. And this is what would help you build and drive loyalty.
Yeah, so we have one more question. The participant wants to know, can you give a high level overview of what your support product is all about?
Yeah, sure. So when we talk about LogMeRescue, it is a powerful cloud-based application that empowers customer service representatives to offer premium level of remote support to people and also the devices that these people are using, no matter where they are. And what this helps you do in return, it helps you reduce average handling time, it increases your first call resolution, it improves your CSAT score, and overall agent efficiency, so to say. And LogMeRescue today enables you to access and support more devices than any other remote support solution that is available in the market today, right? So, we will reach out to you after this webinar to give you a detailed, details on this product. But since you asked for a high-level overview, I think this is what it would be.
Great, Srinara. I think we have time for just one more question. So we'll take this question. The participant wants to know, you mentioned support of things. Can you elaborate how this can up the game when it comes to customer support, Srinara?
Sure. This is an interesting question. So, I would say that after a decade of watching consumer behavior drastically change because of mobile technologies, we are in for an even wilder ride with the Internet of Things. And yet many organizations are still relying on old models of support. And these are models that will actually break under the weight of this new consumer reality that everything is moving towards Internet of Things, right? Now, consumers are used to a high level of support with connected devices, be it PCs, be it smartphones, be it tablets. But what if the thing you're supporting doesn't have a screen? What if the product that you're selling is not even connected to the internet? And support in such cases will need to be facilitated through a mobile app, which is actually the real face of Internet of Things, so to say, right? So organizations will have to find ways to get closer to their customers without having to send field technicians or repair personnel all the time to evaluate a problem, because this is where the ROI is going to get better. So this is where video-enabled solutions that are providing real-time feeds from customers or field technicians are going to be very, very critical. And that is what support of things is all about, supporting objects that probably don't even have a screen or probably are not even connected to the internet.
Thank you so much, Shinara, and thank you, participants, for taking time off your busy schedules. Thank you all. Have a nice day.